Hi, it's Jen from Shabby Fabrics. This is another face mask video based on feedback from you. Thank you so much for leaving those comments. We really read absolutely every comment. We talk about it as a team and what can we be doing. Any concerns that we're hearing from customers, we take that and we try to engineer better products. Well, we've done that. One of the things we've been hearing from you, and actually happened to my husband as well, is the nose bar channel that of course houses the nose bars. Those things get a lot of exercise, stretching and moving, and his broke. And I had realized that I had put that channel on the middle of that mask, and now I was like, do I take this apart? Do I try to recycle the material? So what we've done, and what I'll be showing you today, is how to put that face mask channel on this side closest to the face, how to make it so that you're able to push the nose bar out and replace that as it wears out. So there it is right there. Maybe it breaks. So that's one of the reasons why the nose bar little package has so many in there. So hey, by the way, I'd love to recommend that if you are going to gift someone one of the masks that I'll be showing you today, you not only gift them the face mask, but maybe 10 or 12 of the nose bar, the extra nose bars out of the package, and that way they too would be able to replace that without any problems. I've also went ahead and have an adjustable feature added to that for the elastic. That way, if you are again making that for someone and you're not sure what their perfect length is for the elastic to go around the ear, you can make that adjustable and they can adjust it for their perfect fit. As you can see from this fun and colorful fabric, I could not choose between red or blue, so I chose them both. And if you've been doing face masks at all, especially in the beginning of 2020, right around March or April, we couldn't find elastic to save our souls. So really early on, I started the journey of having some manufactured for Shabby Fabrics, and we've got 3 colors to choose from. Today I've picked 2 colors out of our bright set. Each of these skeins is 4 yards of 1/6-inch banded elastic made in South Korea. It's wonderfully comfortable, bright and beautiful, and it comes in this zippered pouch here, which I love. You can use it, put it back for safekeeping. We also have some pretty pastels and as well as neutrals. So these are great to have on hand, of course, for making your face mask, as well as just general crafts. So let's start off with, how do we do this? What are these new features and how do we get this done, Jen? So let's grab our templates. You can be making either the Creative Grid template, which has 3 sizes included, small, medium, and large. You'll just use the interior lines for the small, this line for the medium, and of course for the large around the entire template. Or the 3-piece set where each template is for one dedicated size, small, medium, and large, as you can see. I'll show you the Creative Grid template today. That way you're comfortable with using those interior lines, and I'll be using the medium today. So you'll want to make sure you have a nice 90-degree edge, and nice and cleaned off. If you don't, grab a straight edge, grab a rotary cutter and clean that off until you have a nice 90-degree corner. Once you have that, you'll set your template right in that corner. Grab a 45 millimeter rotary cutter is what I normally quilt with. I'm using a 28 millimeter rotary cutter. It's ideal for going around these tight curves over here. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm coming in here, no problem making that with a 45 millimeter. It's this cut right here that is very difficult with a 45 millimeter, and that's why the 28 is just a great performer. We have replacement blades. This is a 5-pack, so if you do grab that 28 millimeter and you're planning to make a bunch of face masks, get your replacement blades all at the same time. Now, while you're at this, and you've got this part cut out, doing the same exact thing with the other fabric. I have this fabric on the front and this fabric on the back. You can always use the same fabric, but I think it's fun to use 2 different fabrics. You're going to repeat that. And as you can see, I just sewed a 1/4 inch. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. Just sewing a 1/4 inch seam allowance, top to bottom. Okay, and while I get that iron heating up, there's one other thing that you need to cut. It can be from either of these two fabrics or yet a third fabric, some scraps, is you want to have the nose bar channel, and ideally you want that cut on the bias. You want that cut on an angle rather than across the grain of the fabric because it has more stretch. This fabric right here, notice how it has very little stretch. This is on grain, as they call it. I cut a piece ahead of time. This is cut to 1 3/4 by 5, and I cut it on an angle. Look how it has stretch. Now it will curve around the top of the mask and be more comfortable for you. So you want to have that, again, like I said, cut out from any of the extra fabric from this piece or yet a different fabric, doesn't matter. It's going to be on the back side here. I'll show you that. That's the one that will be housing our nose bar. Once you have that cut, we'll come over to our pressing mat, bring that end up, the two ends up about a 1/4 inch, and then we will press that in half with our wrong sides together, and that's going to be one of our first things that we'll be sewing. But before we do that, we want to make sure that we have opposites, nice interlocking seams. So I pressed that first one this direction, okay, because we're going to lay this out on the mat. And then our next piece, which will also be right side together, if that one's going this way, I'm going to press the seam in the opposite direction. If you're not a quilter, that's called interlocking seams. It's a really nice way to have seams interlock with each other and lay flatter. It's more comfortable for you to wear a mask when there's interlocking seams. So that's how I'm going to press my seam. Now I'm not going to sew them together just yet because the first thing that I'm going to do is now I'm going to place that nose bar channel in place. We'll fold it in half. I'm going to get my little wonder pins, my mini wonder clips, I should call them. They're clips together. And that fold is going to go right at the peak of that, and I'm going to put a clip there. Now notice I'm not using pins. I know we've gotten some feedback from people that are concerned about using pins in conjunction with face masks, that potentially by introducing a pin, we may be introducing a place for a germ to proceed through. You know, I'm certainly not a doctor in any way, shape, or form, and I don't know when you wash a mask and dry it, if that's enough action to that, if there was a pin used, that is now kind of that shrinkage and the washing would take care of that. But if you have concerns, we'll just use wonder clips today. They're a great thing to use. Now we're going to come back in. We're going to sew a 1/8 of an inch all the way around on this side right here. Let me show you this on the close-up. We're only going to come up about a 1/4 of an inch and stop and reinforce multiple times. So it's going to appear that the opening is too big. It won't be, because when we get ready to sew the two mask halves together, we'll be using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So you want to leave a bigger opening than you think that you need. So let's go to the sewing machine right now. So I want to show you how it looks like that opening is far too big. Here, I'll show you the nose bar real quick. So you see the profile of the nose bar itself. So this looks like it's too big. It's going to be slopping around. But remember, when we come back and sew the front of the mask and the back together, our seam's going to be more in here. So it's about right where it should be. Okay, let's move on to our next step. Okay, so now the next step will be to place our two halves of our mask right side together And before we do that, we need to decide on the elastic. So if you're going to be making this mask for yourself and you don't want to have the adjustable bead feature, right here on the face mask template, they have some just suggested sizes for elastic, for medium, which is what we made today, 6 to 7 inches. If that's you and you know that what size you are, go ahead and just grab whatever elastic you want and cut the two lengths to be, of course, the same size, 6, 7, or whatever you want. Whenever I do add the beads, I add 1 inch to that measurement. So for me, I'm normally a 6 when I don't have the adjustable bead feature. But today, since I'll be showing you that, I'll be cutting my lengths to 7. I went ahead and did that ahead of time. And I want to show you how to thread the beads on. And there's a cool tool. If you have any difficulty, this is what we're going to be doing. If you have any difficulty getting the elastic through the beads, this really cool tool is super helpful. It's called the Purple Thing. I use it in quilting all the time, sometimes to help hold seams down. They've got this really neat slit in there, so if you ever need to thread something through kind of a channel, that's great. And in this case, it's great to help push the elastic through the bead. So step 1, once you cut your lengths, is just put 1 bead on one of those sides of the elastic. Now bring them both up, both of those tails, and we'll push that through our bead. Now if you have any problems with that, that's where I just really like using that Purple Thing. Sometimes I'll work one, okay, oh, that went in pretty well. Sometimes if you put in one end of the elastic and then kind of help feed the second one in, that can be a little bit easier. Okay, that one in fairly easy. All right, push that all the way through, and you want those two ends to be the same, so you can just adjust it till it's even, and you can still adjust it even after that if it's not perfect. Now let me put that down for now. Let's start at the top with our interlocking seams, and we'll just put in some wonder clips. And I want to show you how we'll be locking the elastic into those corners. Put in one more clip right here, and then let's talk about getting that elastic in there. We certainly want to get that secure. So you'll go ahead, doesn't matter if you are attaching the elastic to this side or this side, doesn't matter. What I like to do is definitely get that moving in a diagonal 45-degree into the corner, and I'm going to clip that. And notice I have some of that extending beyond, because we want to make sure we absolutely are getting that and securing that. Now we'll put that bead in the middle, out of the way. You certainly don't want to strike that with a needle. And again, that end coming out at a 45 like this. Just like that, and again a clip there. You can clip as many times as you want, as you feel you need to, and we'll do the same on the other side. Might as well just do that part right now. With this, the blue, we'll get it clipped. And I'll continue clipping all the way around my mask. And once we go to the sewing machine, we'll be using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And remember to leave an opening. So reinforce where you begin, start sewing, and then back stitch. Sew all the way around with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then you're going to want to stop at least 2 to 3, probably maybe even 3 inches. Two to three is more than enough to be able to turn that through. And the best place really to kind of start, I never recommend a curve, so you want to avoid the top of your mask. So really kind of right down in here. In fact, let's just start right in here. We'll start sewing, reinforce, pivot in the corners. If you have a needle down feature on your machine, you're going to want to select that. Engage that feature on your machine. So when you pivot in the corners, that needle is still down in the mask. And then we'll just come all the way around, leaving an opening. I'll turn the mask all the way through. When we come back, I'll have that turned through, and then I'll take you to the next step of completing our mask. So let's go ahead and get started. So reinforce multiple times over the elastic. So before we turn this through though, I am going to clip my corners. And now I'll turn that through real quick. Cute. I could not resist the red and the blue elastic, and I'm like, oh, we're doing them both. And it's fun for Christmas, red and green, Halloween, orange and, you know, black or something fun like that. Especially if you're going to be doing a novelty fabric, why not take it there? That's why we had these elastics made in all the beautiful colors. Okay, so just smooth it out with your fingers. If you want, if you're inclined to use the point turner to try to get everything out in those corners perfectly, by all means, it's a great tool to have in your sewing room if you're going to be doing any kind of turning things through, either that need points or curves. Great tool to have. I definitely use it in a lot of my sewing projects, especially bags and whatnot, when I can't quite get my hand all the way down into corners and whatnot. Okay, so we have that just like that. And remember, we've got this opening. So when you kind of pull it just a little, it automatically closes that opening. So let's go ahead and iron that closed. Now I like to have my mask have a little bit of a tuck on the side. You can see that right here. So you can try the mask on as is and see if you like it. You like the fit without the tuck. If you like the tuck, this is a great time to go ahead and put it in. And if this is the top and this is the top of the mask, go ahead and pleat that just like that downward. We'll put a clip in. And you want to have the same size pleat on this side. Again, going downward. And our next step to finish our mask, we're going to come back sewing 1/8 of an inch all the way around. That will not only have a nice finished look like we have here, but that's going to close the opening and also secure the pleats. You might want to double stitch those pleats so as you go over them, back up once or twice, because that will be a source of stress on your mask. So let's go ahead and get our mask finished up. We'll insert our nose bar and be done. So now our final step will be to insert our nose bar. These are the Gypsy quilters. I love these. These work really well. Now on the back side, there is an adhesive. You might have seen people who wear these on the outside of their mask. For people who want to do that, that's when you would remove that adhesive. We're not going to be wearing that on the outside of our mask, which is why we made our channel. So no need to remove that paper. Now, we simply insert that in there, and you can see it's a snug fit. But what we love about that is we know it's not going to come sliding out when we wear it. It's not going to be inadvertently coming out in the washing machine, and I just simply push it down. Now it's right here beneath this area that's stitched. So let's try out our mask. Let's see what we've created here. It's always fun to try them on, and then I can also show you the adjustable feature if you did opt to put the beads. So here we'll put it on, form the bar, and this is where the adjustable bead feature comes in, so you can have it have the perfect fit, just like that. Isn't that cute? So just in no time, we've created a beautiful mask with a perfect fit. If we have any problems with our nose bar or it breaks or we want to remove it for washing, we're able to do that. And you know what's even more important? We're not adding more of these to the trash can, and I love that. We're helping to make a difference, and it's fun to be able to make something, know that you created this. It's a great thing to have for yourself, for your family, and of course to give away as well. So hey, thanks for spending part of your time with me. If you know somebody else who's maybe making face masks that might enjoy this technique, be sure to share this with them as well. And I look forward to seeing you on a future Shabby video.